Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video we'll be looking at standard form. Let's start by looking at what standard form actually is. So standard form is a way of writing out numbers, and that makes it easier to read and use numbers that are especially very large or very small. Now standard form is writing a number in the form a times 10 to the power of n, where a is a number that is greater than 1, actually greater than or equal to 1, and is less than 10. So we can write that out as a being less than or equal to 1 and being less than 10. I meant to say greater than or equal to 1 over there. But anyway, n, however, is just an integer which can be positive or negative. That does not matter. All we need to know is that it needs to be an integer. This part here is very important because you need to look out for numbers being greater than or equal to 10 or numbers being less than 1 being used in standard form questions. Alright, that being said, let's look at some of the standard form questions. So the first thing we'll look at is converting numbers that are in standard form into ordinary numbers. So here we've got an example of 5.8 times 10 cubed. Now the way you'd go about doing this is that you've got the decimal point here, so you have 5 and 8, and then the decimal point would be around here, and then you'd move the decimal point 3 places. So instead of being here, you'd move 1 and then you'd add a 0, 2, and you'd add a 0, 3. So your final answer would be 5,800. In this case, we've got 37 times 10 to the power of 4. As we said earlier, you cannot have a number that is greater than or equal to 10 in place here. So instead of 37, we'll turn that into 3.7, but in doing so, we'll increase the power from 4 to 5, because we've divided this by 10, but we've increased this by 10, so it balances out. So 3.7 times 10 to the 5, we can then do what we did earlier. So we've got 3.7, so move 1, add a 0, move another 1, add another 0, 3, add another 0, and 4, add another 0. So we've moved 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we've got 370,000. That is our final answer. 370,000. Alright, let's look at some negative powers of 10 then. So we've got 6.4 times 10 to the minus 2. When you've got a negative power, the decimal point moves to the left instead of moving to the right. So we've got 6.4 here, and then it moves 1 to the left, and then 2 to the left, and you've got 0 here. So you've got 0.064 here, and that is our final answer, 0.064. In this case, we've got 540 times 10 to the minus 5. Again, we cannot have that because 540 is greater than 10. So we turn that into 54 times 10 to the minus 4 in this case, because you're multiplying it by 10. And then 5.4 times 10 to the minus 3. We can then have the 5.4 here, then it moves 1 across, and put 0 here, another 1 across, put another 0 here, another 1 across, put another 0 here, and then 0 point. So that is our final answer, 0.0054. Okay. Let's move on to converting ordinary numbers into standard form. Now the way we'd go about this is we'd think about where the decimal point would be, and then we'd move it across either to the right or to the left and see how many places we've moved it. So here we've got 300. I think for bigger numbers like this, it would be a lot easier for you to add commas if you're not giving it with commas, because that makes it more readable. So in this case, we'd have a comma here and a comma here. So this is 38,400,000, and then our decimal point would go between the 3 and the 8 to make this number between 1 and 10. After that, we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our number here would be 3.84 times 10 to the 7. Pause the video and have a go at converting 45,000 into standard form. Okay, so 45,000, we know the decimal point would be between the 4 and the 5 to make it a number between 1 and 10. And then we'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'd have 4.5 times 10 to the 4. Okay, let's look at our next one then. Now we'll be converting small numbers into standard form. So in this case, we know that our decimal point would be between the 4 and the 3 right here. So we're going 1, 2, 3 to get to that decimal point here. And so you can say this would be 4.3 times 10 to the minus 3. Again, you can have a go at the question on the right, pause the video and have a go. Alright, so the decimal point here would be between the 8 and the 0 that are here. So it would be somewhere here. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would be 8.06 times 10 to the 4. Okay, let's actually look at some operations then. So when you carry out addition with numbers that are in standard form, there is no shortcut. You have to convert the numbers that you're given into normal numbers first, and then add those numbers together and then turn it back into standard form. So in this case, we've got 5.4 times 10 cubed, so that would be 5,400. And then here we've got 6 times 10 squared, so it would be plus 600. We can then add this 2 together, so 0 plus 0, 0, 0 plus 0, 0. 4 plus 6 is 0, carry up 1, and then 6,000. 6,000, we know the decimal point would be here, just move 1, 2, 3, so that would be 6 times 10 cubed, and that is our final answer. Subtraction works pretty much exactly the same. We'd have to turn the numbers back into ordinary form and then turn them back into standard form after we've done subtraction. So 9.8 times 10 to the 6, well, that would be 9.8 here, and then move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'd have 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, and a 0 here. And then we can remove this bit. So 4.3 times 10 to the 4, we would have 4.3 here, and it would go 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would be 0 here, 0 here, and a 0 here. So we'd have 0, 0, 0, 3 here, and a 4 here. We can then carry out the subtraction. 0 minus 0 is 0, again 0, 0, then here, can move this to be a 1, so we'd have 7 here, and then this can be turned into a 9, while this is turned into a 7, 9 minus 4 is 5, and then 9, 7. So we'd have this number here, and the decimal point would go here. And there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'd have 9.757 times 10 to the 6. And that is our final answer. Multiplication and division works a bit easier, as you don't have to turn the numbers back into ordinary numbers and then turn them into standard form again. You can just work with standard form straight away. So in this case, you just, because multiplication is commutative, you can just multiply the numbers in whatever order you want. So you'd use 3 times 7 and then times that by 10 to the 6 times 10 to the 8. 3 times 7 is just 21, and 10 to the 6 times 10 to the 8 is 10 to the 6 plus 8, which is 10 to the 14. This is covered in the laws of indices video, which I will link somewhere here. You might want to check that out because that would be very helpful for this video. So now we've got 21 times 10 to the 14, but this is not in standard form because 21 is greater than 10. So we turn that into 2.1 times 10 to the 15, because we've divided that by 10, but we've increased this by 10. And so it balances out, and that is our final answer. Division works similarly, because this is basically 1.8 times 10 to the 7 over 6 times 10 cubed, which is the same as 1.8 over 6 times 10 to the 7 over 10 cubed. This would give us 0.3 times 10 to the 4, and again this is not in standard form, so we need to turn that into 3 times 10 cubed, and that is our final answer, and that is the end of the video. Alright, I'll see you in the next one. If you found this video helpful, please do like and subscribe.